Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
The Supreme Court delivers a bittersweet victory for free speech. I'm Matt Barber, Vice President of Liberty Counsel Action and Associate Dean with Liberty University School of Law, in today for Matt Staver. And joining me in studio is Deryl Edwards, President of Liberty Counsel Action and a Director with the School of Law. Well, Deryl, recently the U.S. Supreme Court came down with its ruling relative to the protesters. The case was Snyder v. Phelps. This is Fred Phelps, the protester who he and his family, he claims to be a pastor. He was a Democrat operative for President Al Gore for years. People know him as the man that holds up the vicious signs with attacks against our troops, anti-American attacks, saying essentially that because of this country's embrace of homosexuality, God hates this country and kills soldiers, and we should celebrate the death of soldiers and so forth. The man's tactics are reprehensible. They're disgusting, and rightly, most Americans, the vast majority, recoil at his disgusting tactics. Well, he was sued by a father of a fallen soldier, and for infliction of emotional distress, and Liberty Counsel came out actually in defense of not the Phelpses, but the defense of their First Amendment right to freedom of expression and freedom of speech. We put together an amicus brief at the time this false lawsuit came down, and advocated on behalf of the First Amendment and free speech here. The Supreme Court agreed certainly with our position and delivered a bittersweet victory in that, unfortunately, these people, unpopular speech, their unpopular speech is protected, and they get to go about doing their despicable and deplorable protests. But fortunately, free speech was protected. This case could have, if it had gone the other way, delivered a real blow against free speech, and then people with legitimate concerns, for instance, about the radical homosexual activist agenda, the political agenda, those like us at Liberty Counsel who stand up against that agenda, this could have really restricted our ability and our First Amendment rights to express a biblical position on matters relating to homosexuality and other issues.
Yes, it's something we have to accept. We deplore the tactics of the Phelps, and we deplore the signs that they hold up. And we've ourselves, even here at Liberty University, we've been a target of them. Even during our founder's funeral, Dr. Jerry Falwell, they protested him.
Yeah,
and which may seem strange to some people, but they did, because he was to them a liberal in their eyes. So we know what it's like to be the target of them, but it's important for the higher constitutional principle, because someday we could be the ones who are censored.
Well, that's exactly right. I think of what I consider the pro-homosexual version of Fred Phelps, for instance, a man by the name of Dan Savage. He's this vicious columnist, if you can call him that, and homosexual activist who went after, for instance, Senator Rick Santorum, created a website and used his name, planted what they call a Google bomb, and used his name to represent something that is so disgusting and so despicable and deplorable that I cannot even say it, would not even say it. He created a website, just a vicious, hateful attack. But guess what? He has a right, unless it becomes an issue, of defamation, of libel, in that he has violated the law. He has a right to his free speech, and he has a right to attack, as he has done, for instance, Christians. He's an anti-Christian bigot. He says horrible things about Christians, blames Christians, for instance, for teen suicides that have been occurring recently of kids who identify as homosexual, and with the most disgusting language, blames people like you and I and Christians and so forth. He's the equivalent of Fred Phelps, but he has a right, and I would defend his right, and I would die for his right to speak his mind, as deplorable and despicable as it is. Same thing with the Phelpses here.
Well, and as they say, politics makes strange bedfellows, and in this case, we join together with the ACLU of all groups.
That's
and
right.
We stand against them most of the time, especially their attacks on the expressions of religious freedom. But there it says their legal director, Stephen Shapiro, said that this decision correctly holds that the response to the grief cannot include the abandonment of core First Amendment principles designed to protect even the most unpopular speech on matters of public concern.
Yeah, and I have to bite my lip to say it, but I agree with the ACLU here.
Right.
Now, you can't mention the ACLU without me mentioning that we do battle the ACLU frequently, and our win-loss record against the ACLU is a win record of about 92%. In this case, we're actually on the same side. As you point out, strange bedfellows indeed. Well, writing for the majority in the 8-1 decision, Chief Justice John Roberts said, quote, given that Westboro's, that's the Westboro Baptist Church, and I can't even really call it a church. They use the mantle of Christianity to spew their hate. But Chief Justice Roberts said, given that Westboro's speech was at a public place on a matter of public concern, that speech is entitled to, quote, special protection under the First Amendment. Such speech cannot be restricted simply because it is upsetting or arouses contempt. If there is a bedrock principle underlying the First Amendment, it is that the government may not prohibit the expression of an idea simply because society finds the idea itself offensive or disagreeable. Indeed, the, quote, point of all speech protection is to shield just those choices of content that in someone's eyes are misguided or even hurtful, or as we often say, unpopular speech.
Well, this the very decision is critical for us because of, especially in the religious freedom area, because we're going to be soon down the road fighting battles against, as you and I talked about this yesterday, passages like in Romans 1 that condemns homosexuality, and pastors who get up to speak and preach on this passage could very well, a decision gone in the other direction, could very well been held to account for that. And
make no mistake, there are those in the homosexual activist lobby, like Hy Feldblum, for instance, who was a Harvard professor. President Obama's appointment to the EEOC as a commissioner, the EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunities Commission. She has said essentially that so-called gay rights trump free speech and freedom of religious expression. This certainly is an indication that the Supreme Court is disagreeing with Hy Feldblum on that position. If she had her way, she would silence all public criticism of homosexuality, of the homosexual lifestyle. And we know that the radical homosexual activist lobby seeks to do just that through various laws, through INDA, the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, and hate crimes legislation and right now in Illinois, for instance, the governor of Illinois and the Attorney General, Pat Quinn, the governor, they are investigating Christian adoption agencies for so-called discrimination because now that the civil unions law has passed, they are investigating them because they refuse to place children in families with gay couples for adoption, and so they are targeting them now for silence and essentially trying to drive them out of business and say either you abandon your faith and your core sincerely held principles here, your biblical beliefs, and adopt a postmodern view, our view, or you're out of business. So there's still a great deal of fight ahead of us, but this is at least an arrow in our quiver.
Well, another group that would have been watching this court decision carefully would be apologists for the radical Muslim agenda. And we're already seeing stirrings about against Christians who maybe speak out against them. They would love to use this to try to silence us.
That's exactly right. And we're going to talk about that more tomorrow. But folks, I would encourage you to look into this matter. Look into free speech. At Liberty Counsel, we stand to defend free speech, religious liberty, whether it be free speech be popular or unpopular. We stand to protect life. We stand to protect natural marriage and family. And we can only do so with your help and with your support. To learn more about Liberty Counsel, go to lc.org or give us a call at 1-800-671-1776. Ask for the book Original Intent by David Barton. This is a wonderful piece that has documentation and quotes of our founding fathers that show our true American godly heritage here in the United States of America. Ask for Original Intent by David Barton for a contribution. We will send that off to you. Again, go to lc.org or give us a call at 1-800-671-1776. Stand with us as we stand to defend freedom of speech.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.